Hi everybody, this is Jeff Barbario. I'm speaking on behalf for the Aldridge Team 1. Also in my group was Vomsi and Ernest, and our project was to create a mobile application for Casino X. The vision for our project was to provide a customer-friendly mobile application for the casino, as I said. Um, Also, we wanted to utilize geofencing capabilities in order to improve personalized service to high-value patrons. We also wanted to use push notifications to market directly to known customers for events or upcoming offers. We also wanted to use data collected by the application to further define customer preferences and behavior. And by that I just mean noticing patterns between things that are popular, unpopular among our guests who are using the application, and that way we can make modifications and increase availability of certain games or offers that people seem to like. The deliverables were a robust mobile application allowing customers to interact with a variety of systems within the resort. Um, Along with that, we were thinking of including a casino-wide map that was interactive, displaying a customer's location through GPS, and kind of that way it gives them the layout of anything that they might be looking for at the casino, and they can see where they're at and navigate that way. As I said, we also wanted to include push notifications. So if you don't know what push notifications are, those are the little dots that are popping up on your phone all the time. They're basically a way for um, the proprietors of an application to send a notification to one of the users without them having to actually access anything. So we just kind of forcibly send that message. And we want to use those push notifications in combination with geofencing. And for those who don't know, geofencing is a way to determine where our customers are located using GPS on their mobile, and we can make determinations about notifications and offers to give them based on their proximity to the casino. So for instance, if somebody is driving or walking near the casino, in order to get them to come into our casino rather than maybe one of the other few casinos that are in the area, we might see that they're there, send them a notification saying, hey, there's this event going on tonight, or hey, here's this coupon that maybe a voucher for something going on in the restaurant, or maybe a voucher for gambling money. It could be any number of things, but it just draws them into our casino. Additionally, we're going to have a flexible reporting engine for the application, and we're also going to provide staffing to utilize the software and assist with the implementation of the software at a departmental level. I'm going to go on and talk about what we produced for the project. I know some of the groups went ahead and did some of the coding and some of the creation for some of their projects. This is a fairly unfamiliar territory for most of us in our group, so what we produced ended up just being the project management tools required for the different progress reports for the course. So I'll just briefly outline those since everybody's somewhat familiar with these anyway. We provided a business case, which was just kind of a rundown, making a case for why a company would want to start a project like this. Basically, just very loose estimations about return for return on investment on a project like this. We also provided a project charter, which just outlines the objectives and our approach to completing those objectives for the project. Additionally, it kind of outlines our roles within the team. We also did a scope statement. We did a preliminary scope statement, and then we did a number of revisions throughout the course of the project when something happened that caused us to change what we thought the scope might be for the project. Additionally, we did a stakeholder analysis, which just kind of outlines the key stakeholders and their impact on various aspects of the project, and sort of our guidelines for keeping our stakeholders happy for the project. We also produced a team contract, which outlines our conduct within the group and what's acceptable and what's not, and kind of just gives people guidelines for interaction within the group. We also analyzed all of our MBTI types. What this means is we took a short survey, all of us, and it indicated our different personality types, which gives us an idea of how everybody's strengths and weaknesses and who will work well with different aspects of the project. That way we can foresee any problems that could be coming up in the future with any group members, or maybe strengths that we can play into. We also produced a Gantt chart, just kind of a detailed work breakdown for the project, along with a graph to kind of visually represent the scheduling and how we wanted to space everything out for the project so we can have everything on time. We also did a list of quality metrics and a quality checklist. These are pretty straightforward, just kind of giving us some objective ways to measure the quality of our project and making sure that we're hitting those goals. We also produced an RACI chart, or a RACI chart. This is just outlines different responsibilities for different deliverables within the project. So if there's an issue with something, we know who we can turn to and say, okay, well, we said from the get-go that this person is responsible for this document, or this person needs to be kept informed, etc. We also had a communication management plan, which just outlines the different forms of communication we want to use between different group members for the project. So, for instance, if we're working with our external developer who's developing the mobile application, we're probably not going to end up doing a lot of face-to-face communication, so we might outline that we're going to do some conference calls once a week. So it just gives us some guidelines that we should follow for the project to ensure that everybody's staying in the loop. And then lastly, we provided an impact probability matrix. This just outlines some major risks that we foresaw in the project and things that could occur in the future. And then we assign a given probability to those risks, as well as the potential impact if they actually were to occur. Things that went well for our group: I thought we did a great job of delegating our different components of the project. So for each progress report, there was a list of things that we needed to complete, and I thought we did a great job of divvying those things up among the group's members in a way that was fair, so that one person wasn't doing way more work than everybody else. Additionally, I thought we did a great job overcoming adversity due to sudden group changes. In that I'm referring to our project manager, Amy, ended up dropping the course a few days before one of our progress reports, so I thought everybody did a great job and completed the portions that Amy was to have done, as well as just coordinating everything and making sure that everybody was willing to accept some extra responsibility here and there and make sure that we got everything done for the project. Another thing that went well was that everybody upheld their individual responsibilities. So I said already that we did a good job in delegating all of our work fairly. This bullet just kind of outlines the fact that everybody made sure to uphold those obligations and complete what was asked of them, so that was great. And the other thing that went well was that everybody seemed to have a good grasp of the different project management tools that they were assigned. Everybody seemed to get the general idea of what they were supposed to produce for each given project report. A couple things we could have done differently, I thought, to improve our group. Were definitely some issues with communication. We definitely had some slow response times for email, little to no face-to-face communication within the group. These are just sort of things that you kind of have to learn as you go on, I think. Coordinating a face-to-face meeting and communication online in a virtual team like this is just a lot more difficult, and it was definitely an area that we could have used some work. Additionally, our time management, those two things kind of played into one another. When you can't communicate that well, sometimes that causes you to take longer to produce different things, and I thought a lot of our pieces were left to the last minute, always completed, but could have been more time for peer review and revisions and things like that, I thought. Things that we learned, I kind of touched on this in the previous slide. Some important skills for virtual team management. Um, this is my first experience dealing with something like that, and some of the other group members' first experience with that, and so there's definite differences in having to work with a virtual team and different difficulties that arise because of that. And the communication, as I said, was something that I personally will make sure to emphasize a little more on future projects in this manner. Additionally, I thought we gained some insight into the world of mobile application development and marketing. Um, Amy was really the only one that was familiar with this area, as her work was already involving. She worked at a casino and already knew about all of this stuff. So I think for the rest of the group members, we got a little insight into that world. And additionally, we all increased our competency with different project management tools and programs. Just using Excel and PowerPoint and the various project management documents that we had to produce for the course. Just gaining familiarity with those, I think, will definitely help us in the future. Teamwork within the group, things that we did well. As I touched on some of these earlier already, individual responsibilities were all upheld, which was great. Workload was definitely distributed fairly. Group members, despite there being a lack of communication and some frustration between members, I thought everybody maintained a good level of respect with one another, so that was good. And everybody produced quality work. As I said, some things could have been done beforehand, but I thought everybody did a good job of producing some quality work on the pieces that they did do. And the bad, as I outlined already, were mostly just communication issues, poor communication at times, and almost no face-to-face contact within the group, which makes things hard, I think. As I said, our project manager was Amy Barnes. She was appointed basically through group consensus. She was the one who had proposed the idea for this particular project, and she was clearly the most knowledgeable, so it seemed to make sense to have her heading the project. I thought, in evaluation of her leadership, I thought she did a really good job when she was on the project. Good job managing everybody and delegating work, but more importantly, leading by example. So rather than just telling everybody you need to do this and this, she did a good job of stepping up and taking care of a big chunk of the responsibilities herself. So I thought she did a great job. As far as her future and leading any future projects, it's pretty difficult to say since she dropped the course early and didn't actually complete this one, so just kind of breeze over that one. Lastly, we're just going to evaluate our success for the project. We outlined 3 different parameters for our success for the project. And the first, we'll talk about were all of the intended pieces of the project completed by the deadline, which, as I said, there was some issues with timing, and we could have done things a little more ahead of time, but everything did get completed by the deadline, which ultimately is the biggest concern, I think. Next, did we increase our capacities to lead projects in the future? I think this is definitely true. We all gained some familiarity, as I said, with the different project management tools, and it's hard not to be continually increasing your capacity for those types of things when you're just getting more and more familiarity and knowledge about those different documents and programs to use. So I think that was a definite yes as well. And lastly, did we receive satisfactory grades for all project pieces? I suppose we haven't gotten any feedback on the binder or the presentation yet, but up to this point I think we've all gotten grades that we can be really happy with, so I think that's another check for that one. And so I think overall the project was a definite success for our group. So I appreciate you listening in for this presentation, and good luck to everybody else in the course. Thanks so much.